analyze the causes of World War I and evaluate which cause was more directly linked to the outbreak of the war. World War I brought on an unprecedented amount of death and devastation, putting Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire against Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, Romania, Japan, and the United States, which were the Allied powers, causing the deaths of over 16 million people. On the 20th of June, 1914, many agreed that the trigger of World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, but that solely set in the idea of war. From August 1914 to 1918, the alliances between countries was the true underlying cause to the First World War. This began with the first alliance between Austria and Germany in 1879, the Dual Alliance, because of Austria-Hungary's fear that Russia would come to Serbia's side, as well as Russia's allies France and even Great Britain. Doc 10's purpose was to state the agreements. These alliances were made on the agreement that if a country was threatened, the Allied forces would come to aid in defense. They also served as a warning to countries that they had larger forces supporting them, discouraging them from declaring war. As tensions progressed, the number of alliances increased as countries took sides. In 1882, the Triple Alliance was made from Germany and Austria-Hungary to Italy, causing an alliance to stop Italy from taking Russia and Serbia's side. Doc 9's purpose was to explain the relations between these countries, that though Italy wouldn't take part of the war, in which they did later on, it would stand by Austria-Hungary and would not take sides with Russia. Concerned that the Allies were a threat to the colonies, Great Britain started to search for alliances of its own. Even though Great Britain had never been allied with France, the two nations pledged military support for one another in the Entente Cordiale of 1904. 3 years later, Britain signed a similar agreement with Russia, the Anglo-Russian Entente. Then, in 1912, the Anglo-French Naval Convention tied Britain and France even closer militarily. Tensions between countries Austria-Hungary and Serbia increased with the assassination of the Austrian Archduke, blaming Serbia's government for the attack and using it as justification that they weren't on their side. A few weeks after this, Russia, Belgium, France, Great Britain, and Serbia, the Allied forces, had lined up against Austria-Hungary and Germany, and World War I had begun. The point of view of Doc 1 was in support of the Allied powers, believing that their side of the war would be victorious. Although these alliances were defensive in nature and only set as a precaution, they meant that any conflict between one country from each alliance was bound to involve the other countries. The alliances created an excessively rigid diplomatic framework, within which relatively small detonators could produce huge explosions. Alliances forced countries to take sides, causing more countries to interfere. They intimidated other countries as well, who then strived to make strong alliances too, and the cycle continued. Alliances caused more death and devastation as well as money than what was necessary because Allied countries' hands were forced in defense, gaining them more enemies as well. The web of alliances developed in Europe between 1870 and 1914, effectively creating two sides bound by commitments to aid in maintaining power or intervene militarily, leading to more and more countries becoming part of the war, finally leading to World War I.